Hey, anatomy virtual students. Mr. Yance again, day number 2 of notes, and hope everybody's doing well. And make sure that you let me know if something's not working right or the video's not good. So let me know. So we're going to pick up where we left off yesterday, and to just kind of review a little bit. We talked yesterday about this is just an introductory chapter, a lot of basic stuff, a lot of terminology, a lot of things that we'll be using throughout the year, not just in this chapter. So we talked about how the body's organized into cells, and then the group of cells is tissues, group of tissues is organs. And as you see on the screen, we're to the fourth and most complex level of the body, and that's the system level, which we have 10 systems. There's a saying out there. It's called Dr. I. McSnur. If you use the first letter of these 10 systems, that might be an easy thing. Easy way to remember it, and I'll put that in your notes eventually. But basically, when you get all these organs working together in the respiratory or the digestive or the muscular, whatever system you want to look at, that's where we're going to spend most of the time this year, is in the system level. That's basically where most of anatomy is taught. And I said this maybe yesterday, but I'll say it again. If you see me go through something really quick, which today I'm going to go through these 3 pretty fast because I have whole chapters on them later. So that's why I spend more time on some systems more than others of the 10, because I may not get to some of them just because of the time thing. So let's start with the integumentary system. The integumentary system is basically a fancy word for the skin. And it's a crucial system for your survival. The main function is protecting us from microorganisms, chemicals, mechanical injury. It regulates our body temperature. It's got all the sensation organs in there, so we can feel, hot, cold, rough, smooth, all those things that we do every day. Not going to say much about the skin because, again, we have whole chapters on it later, but I will say this. It's something we take for granted. I have a good friend. In fact, I'm buying a car from his dealership. He's sells used cars in Angola, and his name is Craig Average. And I'll just give you the quick story about him because I'll talk more about him when I get to this chapter, which is the next chapter we go over, actually. But Craig was working on a race car. He was underneath the race car. He didn't realize that racing fuel, which is extremely flammable, even worse than gas, was leaking. It hit the water heater. The water heater kicked on, and long story short, 80% of his body was burned. And when we visited him in the hospital, he had a 10% chance of surviving. He's still around. Obviously, bought a car from him. This has been 8 or 9 years ago. So he's the first guy still today to walk out of the burn unit in Fort Wayne with 80% burns and live to tell about it. So pretty remarkable guy. But he'll tell you that, man, it's been a long haul. Lots of surgeries. He still struggles with the temperature thing. They did pretty good on his hands and his face, because when you wear clothes, that's what you see is your hands and your face. And they did a pretty good job with that. But he still struggles with the temperature regulation. And let me show you a little bit. So how the skin is, and when you talk about first, second, and third degree burns, you can see this is your skin. This top layer is dead skin that flakes off, your epidermis. And then, so if you get a sunburn, let's say, which can be discomforting, but you're just burning off this top layer. It's dead anyway. It'll peel. It will come back. Okay. Second degree, you're getting a little deeper. It may scar. You may have a little more trouble. You get down in this deep layer down here at the bottom. That's where your cells are actively going through mitosis and dividing and replacing all these layers up above. If you burn it past that layer, it's past the point of no return. So you can't, that skin will not heal from that damage. So that's why it's very, very critical that we take care of our skin. Right? And we'll talk a lot about other things. We'll talk about skin cancer and some other things when we get to the integumentary system. But I'm not going to say much about it now because, again, I have a whole chapter about it down the road. The other 2 systems I want to kind of mention today is the skeletal system. The skeletal system, these are 206 bones. We have three tests we'll take eventually on the skeletal system. So again, not going to say much about it other than it's a rigid framework. It allows ligaments and tendons to connect. It's the bone marrow that produces all of our red blood cells. Um, and critical system as well. All these have their own part they play in the overall health of the body. And the skeletal system does its job, and we're very thankful it does its job. Um, and you will get to know it pretty well. Like I say, we'll know all 206 bones before we're done. And last but not least, I'll talk a little bit about the muscular system. There's three types of muscles: skeletal, visceral, and cardiac. Um, Skeletal is your biceps, your triceps, your hamstrings, ones that we actually can physically control. If you ever watch a boxing match and one guy gets knocked out, what happens? Their whole body just goes limp and they collapse to the canvas because they don't have control over those muscles anymore because they've lost consciousness. So it's not like we sit here and say, you got to move finger, you got to move arm, you got to move leg, but we do consciously do control that. Okay. Visceral is the linings of your intestine, your stomach, your blood vessels. Cardiac, obviously, is your heart. We don't have to worry about that. So the brain stem does its thing. Your heart beats. Your food moves through your digestive system. Your blood flows through your body. We don't have to worry about that. That's your brain stem way back here deep in your brain. And we'll go over all that eventually. But they are completely looking different muscles. And they have, and that's why when we say involuntary in the brainstem, that's why we can do organ transplants. We talked a little bit about that first part of notes, but you can have no brain activity. Your cerebrum may not be working, but your brainstem's still there, and you can hook a person up to machines and keep their organs alive until you can harvest them. So, that's a downside. I'll show you a video tomorrow about organ transplants. And it's very emotional because you got one family that's, excited and elated because they get an organ, they get back to normal life. But they know that on the other side, there's a tragedy that happened. A person died so they can have those organs. So it's not a good system, but that's why we have that system, is because you can keep those organs alive even if the person is brain dead. And that's something that I'll show you a video and we'll talk a little bit more about tomorrow. I just want to show you a couple other pictures. There's a picture of your skin that's got a cut in, the blood oozing up through it. Here's a picture of actually melanoma, the ones that are glowing, is skin cancer. We'll talk about that, and we'll get into that stuff a little more later. So not a lot of notes today. I do want to kind of remind you that we will have a Google Meet on Friday, somewhere around 1:30. I'll let you know exact times tomorrow, and make sure you meet with me so I can answer questions and talk a little bit more to you. We do have an assignment today. I gave my class color sheets that I am going to scan in for you tomorrow, and you can either print them off and color them in yourself, or you can come into school and pick up a packet. We'll have some packets available if you need to, if you don't have a printer. And what we're going to do is I'll have a document on Google Classroom that you can just take a picture when you're done coloring them in, and you'll get credit. And it's important that we do them because they are on the test, and we use color sheets a lot in all the chapters. So I'll be doing that a lot. So I'll get that to you. Never done it this way before. We'll try it out. I'm even having my classroom students take pictures and hand them in as well. So they're not hard this time, but I'll explain that a little bit more tomorrow, and I'll make sure they're on in the morning. So if you want to access them tomorrow, and won't be due for a while. I'm not going to make them due till next week, but you can start working on those. So thanks for tuning in. I hope this makes sense to you. By all means, make sure that you email me, keep talking to me. This virtual thing is a little bit tough, even though we did it last spring. It's a little harder now because we're doing it on a more regular basis. And there I go. So I guess it's time for me to be done, because my picture just disappeared. That's probably telling me something. So hey, we'll talk to you. I'll keep putting notes on, so kind of stay up with it. Don't get behind. and we'll talk to you tomorrow. See you. Bye.